By 1845, Vienna was a growing urban center with 430,000 inhabitants. However, there were revolutionaries causing uprisings against the imperial rule. A failed revolt in October 1848 led to Vienna being the Austrian imperial capital. Similar to the medieval and crowded street structure of Paris, the ring road and fortification allowed revolutionaries to block off entire streets or neighborhoods with overturned carts to create their own fortresses. Mimicking Paris, the fortified walls were eventually torn down and the avenues were broadened. This evolution of a modern city was all urban planning in order to prevent revolution. The change in urban planning allowed the spread of the Austrian imperialists. The way these European cities were planned and built held the power to change their futures. Fast forward to today. Although it's not imperialism, something is spreading. You guessed it, COVID-19. COVID-19 is not the first time a novel disease or virus has swept across nations. For centuries, humans have dealt with epidemic after pandemic. However, back then, people took them seriously. People made changes. Because of the cholera epidemics of the 19th century, cities began to create modern urban sanitation systems. When authorities told people to distance to avoid the spread of disease, people did. Just look at Gunnison during the 1918 Spanish influenza. They shut down the only entry to town, no one in and no one out. Unless you're not afraid of gunny locals with pitchforks and fire. During the early 20th century in Europe, housing laws that required reduced population densities halted many diseases. So, how can we plan our cities better now? How we plan our cities determines how resilient they are. Population density without sufficient public or outdoor spaces and affordable housing is not resilient. Instead of installing temporary measures to get people clothed, fed, and access to medical services now, there needs to be a more permanent system set in place. By providing affordable housing in areas with access to these amenities, a crisis could be dealt with easier in the future. Another big necessity: access to public and outdoor spaces. As many Gunnison residents know, recreating and spending time outdoors is almost crucial. Especially since the quarantine, people have fled to the outdoors in the masses to escape the monotony of their homes, as seen by the overflowing parking lot the day that Hartman Rocks opened. In Gunnison, we are lucky to have so much access to so many of these places. But many places don't. For example, Europe's population density is more than double of the United States. I have a friend living in Spain in a high-rise apartment building with no balcony and nowhere to walk besides the store. Can you imagine not touching grass or breathing the fresh air for weeks on end? By involving urban parks in a city planning, as well as living walls or rooftop gardens, the outdoors can be accessible to everyone, which can be essential for many individuals' mental health during crises like these. Having 10 more trees in a city block has been found on average to improve health perception in ways comparable to a raise of $10,000 or being 7 years younger. And isn't that what we all want? To be happier and healthier?